All right, good morning, folks. Good afternoon. Depends where you are, I guess. We are seeing the snapback that we expected today. Not a big move, though, right? So it's just been tracking up into the central pivot on the major indices. The stocks aren't doing much better, but at least it's some price action that's a little bit more tradable today. So yesterday, you had that big move, down. It gapped lower, and then once it gets down like that, once it's down like 1,000 points, you really have to wait for the market to try to come back, maybe get down, even if it's going to stay down on the day, maybe get to where it's only down 500 or 600 points, and then start looking for the opportunities on the short side. Not trying to fade those moves, not trying to go against what's happening. Market was reacting to a bunch of news. Obviously, we had that the unemployment print, which sort of implies that the economy might be headed into a recession. I don't know, that might be overreading that thing. The bigger news was about the techs, right? So the NVIDIA and all the companies that benefit from AI technology, it really started coming to light how much money, just how much they were spending on that technology and what it was doing to their bottom lines. And it implied that maybe there was going to be a slowdown in some of the AI investment, and that really sent things sort of into a tailspin. But this morning we've got we've got some constructive price action going on. We've got good tradable levels. Let's go take a look at the charts and sort of dive into what I think is going to happen this afternoon and what we are going to focus on for the rest of the session. Here they are. Here are your triple Qs. So let's start with a QQQ. This one opened and it tried to come back down into this pivot line here, but managed instead to make its way higher. So we had a a nice move up after the opening bell, and you can see there that I've got lots of VWAP and support and resistance confluence. So if you're trading these, there were levels throughout the session. I'm a little off on these lines as usual, but there were levels throughout the session here that really made sense, including this guy right up here. So if we get a move back down on triple Q into 434.45 or so, and then a reversal that gets us up into the pivot, I'm really looking for an entry then on the NQ around 18,329, and then probably an exit at the 370 handle. So let's just keep an eye on it. I don't know that it's going to happen. A lot of this stuff today is dependent on the market coming back in a little bit and giving us a little bit of a reset so that we can focus on what's going on in the afternoon. Now here are your Magnificent Seven stocks, and these are just a little bit easier to figure out right now because we've got some close proximity to some overlaps in support and resistance, and also with the volume by price data. Let me just say that I'm also looking at the SPDR. So I know a lot of you are trading the ES. So SPDR, if we get down into that 525.78 level or further down, would be nicer into 524.19. On the ES, I'm really looking at the 52.68 handle up to about 52.85. So 52.68 up to 52.85, and then also 5,300 up to 53.15. So those are going to correspond to these these levels here, and if we get there, it's going to be a decent trading setup, I think, for a quick inflection. And if we don't get there, then that's okay too, right? We're just going to see how much and how far the market trends over the course of the session. On our Mag 7 stocks, so Apple up here, right? I'm really looking at this one in terms of the proximity to this pivot line right here. So if we get back down to the pivot and we catch an inflection there, I will look for a long in Apple on preferably a dip below 205.97 that comes back up through that central pivot. But I know that the lovely Julie is here watching the pivot, and we'll take it even if it stops just shy of the pivot line, like it did here. We're going to target up around 207.81. So nice move for Apple. Apple doesn't have those really wide ranges a lot of the time, but today it's got the volatility and it's got some range, and the when it's in the box, it's a nice wide setup. Amazon, same kind of a thing here. You're looking for a move that would get you, in this case, back down into this region. So anywhere from, from that 160, 154 bump up into 162, 77. I'm not super excited about what's happening up here. It's a little bit loose, and the highs are pretty variable, and there's a lot of elasticity to the downside. So I'm going to avoid getting in at that 162.77 level, but 161.54 definitely of interest there. Google. So I really was hoping to see another inflection down here into 160.34. It's okay that it didn't. It's a little elastic in terms of how far it's dipping that pivot line. So if I'm looking at a move back down through the pivot that tracks higher again, it would be up through that pivot line is really what I would want to see. So up through 161.12 from underneath, and then the target on that one's only about 50 cents. So keep an eye on it if you're looking at it. That's got a little bit narrower range. Meta, Meta is interesting again. So we've got a look at Meta here, where again your most desirable trade would be on an inflection from 493.90 that moves higher and gets up into 499.40. I mean, that's a big range. The higher likelihood on that travel range would be up into about 497, and then that is also a place that there's a base right now that is being tested and retested. So this 499.40 line is good as a target. It's not really great as an inflection yet. Had a lot of elasticity down below, and boy howdy, right when that one is elastic, we're talking a couple dollars. So better to wait for the lower one. If it doesn't trigger, it doesn't trigger. Microsoft. So this one has more range today and more tradability, I think, than it has for the last few sessions. 403.36 is what we are looking for here at the trade desk. And if we get down into that 403.36 print, then 404.77 would be our target on any move up above. NVIDIA, we were pretty convinced that we were going to see a retest of 103.97. We were wrong. Never came down there. So now it's a matter of this afternoon, let's see if it firms up above this 105.67 level. So it's still got a lot of range. Yesterday it was down at 99 bucks. Today it's up at 106. So just about anything can happen here. But if it gets down into that 104.73 threshold, I would look for a move to the upside. That's going to be like a 105.67 target. And if we just get down into 5.67 from above that blue pivot line, then I'm going to see, does it have some support right on these guys right here that prevents it from falling through. If it does, we'll look at a long entry, 105.67 up to just up to 106.17 initially, see if it pauses there, and then we can look at these highs as well and see if we can get back up into the 107s and maybe peel off a little bit more. Netflix, I am not super interested in trading today, and S&P 500 I already went over. So that is pretty much a rundown of the charts. I think that if you're on these things today, it's a matter of hurry up and wait. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of range on a day like today. There's always a snapback after big move like that. You're losing 3-4% on indices. You lost 9% just over the course of 2 days on NAS. There's going to be snapback rallies, and now it's just a matter of how strong is the snapback going to be. A lot of people are looking for some bottom picking opportunities. That's definitely going to push things, but over the course of the session, I think the best opportunities are just going to be to sit on your hands as much as possible, watch for the market to come into these really, really tradable levels, and when it does, you just act on it, keep the stops tight, stay on top of the trade, and don't let little losers become big losers. So if the market reverses and starts heading lower, and we don't get the inflections at those support levels, it's time to just get out of it and wait for the next opportunity. All right, so that's that. I will. I'll tell you that we are going to, for the first time, we're going to open up our war room. I think our first hour trading room and the all-day war room to people who have not been to boot camp. Just sort of a test here to see if you come in and you give it a shot, does it make sense to you not having been through all the training? This is sort of a micro focus, anyways. We're focusing on just the Magnificent Seven and the indices in there and the opening gaps. So today the opening gaps, you know, we had 3 or 4 of them. Those were pretty good. I mean, they weren't great today. It was a little bit of a you know, win some, lose some kind of a thing. Came out about 50 or 60 cents per share ahead. Still a good morning. But if it all makes sense to you when you're in there, it might be something you're interested in. Look for an email that I will send out later on how you can join and you know, how you can profit from our trading pit. All right, have a great day. I'll see everybody tomorrow.